Okay, we are live. Hey, Tina.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We'll give people another couple of minutes to join in. But I'll be your host today. My name is Felix, head of EMEA at Duda. I've been here for nearly 4 years. It's actually my Duda-versary next month. I work closely with agencies across the region, from small teams to large-scale agencies, building hundreds of sites a month, helping them grow their business and making the most out of the Duda platform. While we wait, drop in the chat where you're dialing in from and what's fueling you today. I just had a double espresso, my third one of the day. Tina, did you have anything?
Of course, coffee. I'm a coffee
Of
person.
course, same. So whether you're having coffee, tea, maybe something stronger, no judgment. Let us know in the chat. Tina, where in Germany are you joining us from, actually?
I'm from Dorsten today. So it's
Okay.
1.5 hours north from Düsseldorf, which is probably more known than Dorsten. It's a small city.
Yes, I've been to Düsseldorf many times, but never heard of them. Cool. So we are all here today because we know the word migration doesn't exactly spark joy at first glance. But the idea of today is shedding some light, because I think although it's something that doesn't spark joy, it's always something that is in people's heads, especially agency owners. So today it's about turning a major technical lift into a major growth opportunity. Okay. And I am thrilled to be joined by Tina, who is a true pro when it comes to agency operations and digital strategy. She is the COO of Websmart, one of our biggest partners from Germany, where she spent over 10 years managing large-scale website projects. And a couple of years ago, she led the migration of 3,000 websites over to Duda, a huge project that required serious planning and technical leadership. So she's here to share exactly how they tackled it, what they learned, and how migrations can actually become an area of growth for this. Okay, Tina, and I see that we have a lot of comments actually. So Chicago, Scotland, Vienna, Colombia. Wow, we're actually international today.
Absolutely.
Sweden,
Sweden, Vienna.
Brazil. Hey, Marcel. Amazing. There's a big international community. Acerno, Italy. Lovely. I'm actually joining us from Milan. So it's great to see that there is a lot of different partners here. I also recognize some of the names, so it's good to have some of you here. Anyways, over to you, Tina. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, from my end, you already said that I'm COO of Websmart. I work for Websmart for over 10 years now. So we were founded in 2014 and we grew along the path. We are now 45 people, I think, working in the website business. We are in Dorsten, so a small city. Yeah.
Nice. And I know that obviously, again, the webinar is also, so whether you are an agency owner who has loads of websites or maybe a smaller team, I think this is really, we're going to focus on ensuring that you get value from this from all aspects. So again, in the comments, if you are an agency owner, if you do work for an agency or a part of the team, let us know as well if you consider yourself a big agency, a smaller one, and again, don't forget to tell us what you have been drinking. Cool. So Tina, I think you do want to share some slides with the group here, and maybe we can get started.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. I can see it.
Perfect. So preparation worked.
Yes.
Yeah. So today we want to talk about migration, which we did some years ago. We had a journey we did. We did migrate 3,000 websites in a timeline of 6 months. First, I wanted to join in with the topic of why even considering a migration. As you already said, it's a heavy lifting. But every once in a while, you need to see if the CMS you're still using fits your needs and requirements. This is the right time to check if you're planning a big or bigger changes in the future. And following are possible reasons why you might consider changing the CMS that you are using.
Amazing. Just Tina, before you hop in, just when you mentioned the word migration to your team, yes, what was their reaction?
I think at first they were excited about using a new CMS. Absolutely. When we talked about the numbers, it was quite frightening because we wanted to migrate all 3,000 websites. And it sounds like a big number. It is a big number, but they were excited about the new CMS. So I think this did the job of having everybody on board.
Okay, cool. Because most of the time when I speak to agencies, like the word migration, one, they leave it towards the very end, and two, they are super afraid of that word. It's like the one that you can't say. But amazing. That's good to hear that the team were excited.
Yeah, they absolutely were. I mean, we had reasons for migrating. So if you want to change the business model of your agency, you might consider a migration, or your CMS may no longer be the right fit due to legal requirements, technical limitations, or other evolving business needs. You might think about a migration. Or if you build your own CMS and your agency is spending too many resources on maintenance, this might be the right time for a change. Or if you have uncertainties in the CMS ecosystem, such as disputes between platform co-creators and hosting providers you might have heard of, this can also be a factor for the migration. But I think, or I'm pretty sure every agency has its own unique reasons for considering a migration. You know your challenges best. So yeah, something you need to think about for growing your agency.
Mm-hmm. And were you looking to maybe change the go-to-market? So the way that you were bringing websites to your customers, was that part of the reasoning as well?
For us, I think scalability was one of the big reasons why we wanted to be to do the migration, to be ahead of the market, to go with the flow. Yeah, I think these were the main reasons for us.
Okay, nice. And I see that there are still a lot of people joining us. Lucas, small growing to medium, nice. And you had some coffee. Hey, Sharon from the UK. So feel free to keep commenting, and if you have any, I really want to make this interactive. I think both Tina and I want to be as open as we can when it comes to this word migration. Like if you have any specific questions around what you think about that word when you say it out loud to your own teams internally, or anything, just feel free to drop it in, and we'll continue to interact with you. Sorry, Tina, go ahead.
Not an issue. Yeah, so there's always a reason if you're doing a migration. There are some risks you need to have in mind. This is why we are doing this webinar. And there are also opportunities which you should consider. We did some mistakes on the road, tested for you to avoid. So I gathered some input from our migration project for you. And these are them. The challenges. The required workforce depends on the number of websites and the overall timeline. Managing 3,000 websites can be a significant challenge and requires careful planning and resource allocation. Nothing you do light-handed. So I brought some numbers to make it to visualize it even more. We had a workforce of all employees involved that we gave extensive training and ongoing support. As I mentioned earlier, there were 3,000 sites in total that we wanted to migrate in 6 months. So breaking it down, it's been 500 sites per month. So breaking it down even more, it's 24 sites per day, which isn't as scaring anymore as 3,000, which really helped along the project. They had an average of 5 pages per website that we talked about. So all in all, we had around 1 website per day per person, all while managing our daily business. The initial phase was really challenging, requiring a thorough understanding of how to rebuild the sites efficiently, which widget to use for which design. We made decisions on needs to be pixel perfect versus flexible adaptations. The team took the opportunity to optimize the websites along the way, integrating API features on the go that were added within the 6 months to make the process even easier. I would highly recommend to have dedicated teams for each step along the way. It proved to be highly beneficial in the process. So all in all, in number, with rebuilding, checking quality, setting the websites live, it's been around 3.5 hours per site on average. Of course, there are bigger websites, smaller websites, but luckily we had an external workforce included, like trainees and employees of our sister company. They did amazing work in supporting us along the way. But as you said, to be totally honest, the migration was a significant and demanding task, not to be underestimated. We were really happy when we finished this project. But as I said earlier, breaking the workload into smaller, manageable and milestones helped maintain the focus and the motivation in the team.
Yeah, I bet you had a small party that day, well, small or big, that day when you officially completed such a big project. Hans, from the
we had a calendar where you can just pull the numbers of the days left for finishing the migration.
Amazing. It's like when you're waiting for Christmas and you just tick off the days.
Kind of like that, yeah.
We have Hans who mentioned that 24 a day sounds much easier than 3,000 a year. So I think he views it very similar to what you mentioned. Just a question around these are these 4 products that we see on the screen, are these the different type of website products that someone could purchase from Websmart at the time?
Yes, it was. Okay. So we have our smart site active. It's a 1-page website, just a small overview of the customer. Smart site comfort, it's 5 pages, so a little bit bigger. The smart site premium is 10 pages plus. So if you want to have several sites for your different services, you can do that on the smart site premium. And for the customers who wanted to have a little bit more, it's the Smart Site Pro, where we do animation and extra features like password protected pages and stuff like that. So it's a little bit bigger. Yes.
Okay. And I see we have a question from Itai. So did you use any automations for copying content over to Duda?
We absolutely did. I wanted to go into this a little bit later, but I can tell you
don't
that
spoil it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't spoil too much then if it is
short version.
We did
down. Absolutely.
Okay, and this was obviously this was 3 years ago now, maybe a bit less. Well, 3 years ago.
We were absolutely 3 years ago. We were in the middle of the process.
So we obviously back then, Duda that didn't actually have a lot of it already had a lot of API and a lot of automation collaboration tools, but the ones that we do have now are even more advanced.
Yes,
we even have something coming up in Q3 which we've shared in our product roadmap, and it's super exciting. I won't be able to share more light into this, otherwise my product team will kill me. But we will be able to discuss if anyone wants to discuss in more detail. So Itai, we will dive deeper into this later on as Tina gets through the presentation. Did the sites lose quality on the switch from Lucas?
We had a look at the numbers. We had a very close look at it, and we didn't see any quality that was lost along the way. No.
Okay. I mean, we're going to get into the quality aspect and things like later down in the presentation, so we'll be able to dive deeper into that. Cool. Let's go.
Yes. Just one thing I wanted to point out. So if you are considering a migration as an agency, you see it's been a lot for us. Depending on the amount, it can be a giant project for you, not maybe for 3,000 sites, but also for 1,000 sites. It's a big project, and you need to keep that in mind. Website migration at this scale is a major undertaking. The complexity depends on the volume, but should always be approached with careful planning. It's likely a one-time project, hopefully. So after completion, the same level of staffing is no longer required. So outsourcing to an experienced company could be a viable alternative, leveraging their expertise and lessons learned from past projects. But I wanted to just point out it's a heavy lifting. You need to keep that in mind. It's really important.
And one of the things that I forgot to mention is that, well, Tina and the team did this internally. They did it themselves. So this is why I thought of bringing this into this kind of thoughtful webinar, because Tina can speak firsthand experience, whilst maybe other agencies, and a lot of the agencies that we work with as well, they do it by a fulfillment partner, right? By someone who does those type of things every day. But obviously you had to still keep going as a normal business whilst also doing the migration. So I think it's the best learning point, I think, for the crowd here today.
Yes. Switching back, where we talked about the workforce part. One of the challenges we had as well, websites, as you know, as an agency, are published on individual domains. So if the domain is registered by the customer rather than internally, a server change requires DNS updates. I mean, our customers are SMB customers around Germany. The customers are responsible for DNS changes, but are often not technical expert, at least our customers aren't, and they are busy with their daily business operations. So to ensure a smooth transition, effective support is absolutely essential. You need to give them clear and concise email instructions, excellent phone support and email support, which we were fortunate to have and still maintain, and maybe additional tools to facilitate quick DNS setup when customers have their login credentials. One other challenge we had to face, we had to check which services were previously included in the CMS. So, for example, consent management platform, for example, SSL certifications, booking solutions, domain and email services, as I said earlier. If these services are required in the new CMS, they must be integrated in the new CMS, or they need to be replaced with standalone services, which must be organized, implemented, and understood by the team while finding and getting to know the new CMS.
I think we are seeing that there's a big, from what I see, from when I have these conversations, there's also a big gap in between, especially if these websites that you are migrating are old websites, right? If you think about CMSs 10 years ago, like an in-house solution that you built 20 years ago, for example, it's going to have probably a lot less functionality than what a newer platform can give you. And therefore, it's also about, as you mentioned, considering like, do you make product changes based on this change, on this migration? Like, do you go to market differently? Because especially now with all of the things that need to go on a website to bring more value to the customer, things like booking, domain, content management, everything that you mentioned, I think the gap is even bigger now, which makes it very interesting.
For us, we didn't do major product changes. We were able to define the products we offered more precisely. So this is what we did along the way. We are, of course, when the market is changing, we need to have a look at our products, what we want to implement, where to go with them. But in the migration project, we only did the migration mostly.
Okay, understood.
Yes. I wrote down one other challenge, which you might think about moving every website to the new CMS. Why not keeping them? I mean, it's technically possible to maintain existing websites in the old CMS while building new ones in the new system. However, there are key factors which influence the decision. Like legal requirements, for example, compliance regulations may make a migration necessary to avoid legal risks. You talked about having your own self-built CMS. It would still require ongoing resources and support, which can be inefficient in the long run. For us, our goal was to unify all customers within a single CMS environment to streamline operations, enhance team efficiency, and improve the customer satisfaction.
Amazing.
Yes. From the challenges, the things that might keep you from doing a migration, let's jump into the opportunities that come with a new CMS.
And just actually, just as I thought, because obviously, again, Tina is talking about it from a wider perspective, because she is obviously Websmart are based in Germany, where legal requirements are even heavier than other countries. So I wanted to ask the rest of the crowd here, have you done a migration in the past? I think that would be good to know. And have you faced any of the legal issues that Tina might have been shining light on? Especially because we have such a wide audience globally, I want to know if this is just something that is even a bit extra in Germany, or is it globally? And the other question to you, Tina, was everyone right side in the chat, is did you tell your customers that this was going to happen?
It is something you might consider contacting the customer and involving them in the process. At some point, you might need to contact the customer in terms of the domain. At least then they need to be involved in the process. But also for one thing I wanted to mention just on the slide, for upsell and redesign opportunities, you need to talk to the customers. So this is where you should involve your customer. Your business model that can be that the customer would have to pay not just for a redesign or an upsell, but also for the migration, even if it's pixel perfect replica. But for example, if there is a legal necessity, it's easier for the customer to understand, and that they will want to pay to have a legally compliant website. On the other hand, if it's only beneficial for your agency on the close look, it can be harder to convince the customer to pay for it. So you need to have good arguments for the migration up your sleeve. But you can also migrate the sites on your own and only inform the customers about the migration and involve them for the domain part. This is what we did majorly. So that because we wanted to have everything in one ecosystem. I think it's a business decision. But if you are happy with the new CMS, which you should be when choosing it, you can transfer your enthusiasm, show them how they will benefit from it, and it will be a good step for customer satisfaction as well.
Yeah, agreed. It may seem like you are investing in that. I mean, you are investing in them, so maybe highlighting that or highlighting innovation, something like that would be good. Cool.
Good work, innovation.
Amazing.
Amazing. As if we've talked about it earlier. Yeah, your new CMS can be an innovation for the future in terms of SEO optimization and many others. You can make a fresh start in terms of old workflows, steps that you did that wouldn't be necessary anymore. As Ronan, our account manager at Duda, would call it, it's a legacy that you might want to get rid of. So this is something you can benefit from. And one thing that's a great opportunity, which we did as well, is to do a redesign or upsell with the websites you are currently having. You can use sales channels like a newsletter or sales rep if you have them, or the direct outreach to introduce a new CMS. Migration offers customers a fresh start with enhanced functionalities and features that better fit their current business needs. And the transition for redesign and upsell is not just about technical improvements in the back end, but also about modernizing user experience and the design. I mean, websites should be periodically updated to align with the latest design trends and industry standards. So migration is a great opportunity for redesign. Since rebuilding is necessary, it is more efficient to implement a fresh, updated design rather than replicating the old one pixel by pixel. Existing website data from the old website simplifies the process, making it smoother and faster. This is where we used automation and API.
Amazing.
And some customers will opt for a full redesign, while others may prefer a direct migration. In both cases, upselling opportunities can help offset the migration costs. And proactively reaching out to the customers reinforces their trust and satisfaction to you as an agency. So showing that you care about their digital presence, just show it to them.
What, because in my perspective, that is like one of the most valuable items that, you know, as an SMB, I would see, like, you know, the company that I've been working with or that has built my website, they come to me, they say, hey, we want to give you a better, fresher website that looks more like 2025, you know, especially now, because I think the expectation of the consumer is elevating so much given all of the tools that are out there. What percentage of, and doesn't have to be a specific percentage, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what percentage opted in for like that kind of like redesign option that you gave them?
I haven't the exact numbers, but I would estimate it's been about 10-15% right at the beginning.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Okay. So
Yeah.
Right at the beginning. And over the years, obviously that grew.
We still have customers redesigning or upgrading their website because our website is there for them to become bigger, to get a bigger customer base. So every once in a while, they need to upgrade their website anyway, or they do want to have a fresh design, getting up to 2025 standards. So we always have customers redesigning or upgrading their websites.
Okay. And we also have a question from the crowd. So Lucas, what was the biggest obstacle in the migration process?
I think the biggest obstacle was definitely the number. Getting the team involved and having them doing the migration, even breaking it down to milestones, but it was a very hard time, very challenging, heavy lifting. So I think having the customers, not the customers, the team involved and liking what they were doing was really hard. So this is why we created milestones, had our calendar to pull off the numbers. I think this was the biggest obstacle, not technical wise, but having the team involved.
Okay, nice.
Yes. One of the other opportunities, I mentioned it earlier, scalability. Because you want to do the migration, you want to have a CMS that's scalable, that is important for you for your future growth. So with a change of CMS, you might empower your agency to take this next step and stay ahead of a competitive market. As an agency, you know that there's a lot of competitive agencies on the market. And with a CMS that offers automation through APIs and also AI, which is quite new in the agency website business, you not only use it for the migration efficiency, but also for long-term scalability and innovation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes. How to find your new CMS? Really challenging. I can tell you upfront, you won't find the Swiss Army knife. So you need to find your needs in terms of identifying how to scale your business effectively, leveraging AI and API automation, because it is the future of our business. Assess limitations of your current CMS, including technical, legal, functional gaps, maintenance. I would suggest to ensure that your new CMS delivers exceptional core Web Vitals results for performance and SEO benefits. It's really something that's important. Yeah, for us, we tested, I think, 3 to 5 CMSs. Some more deeply, others very, very lightly. But in the end, we decided on one. With doing research, you can review comparison sites of official CMS pages. Of course, you need to keep in mind that they should be credible. Because they wrote their own comparison sites, so they want to point out why they are the best. But if you have a good overview of the CMSs you might want to use, you can explore external review platforms like G2, for example, for unbiased insights. You can analyze what other companies in your industry are using and why. You can look around and see what they are using. Maybe it fits to your agency, maybe it doesn't, maybe you want to have other features in your new CMS. And one thing you can do is attend conferences and network with industry peers of the CMS market to gain practical insights, to get the people involved, get to know the people involved, and it will really help you get a feeling for the CMS and the people working there.
Mm-hmm. That is how you and I met at
yes.
a couple of conferences, and over the years, obviously you have a much deeper relationship with Renan. Shout out to the account manager that oversees Websmart on a daily basis, pretty much, and that worked with Tina alongside this for many years. How much of, like, you spoke about this research phase, obviously, like, you have to do the research and you have to go directly to these vendors, but how much time did you spend with the vendors themselves? How much time did you spend doing all of the other tasks that you just mentioned about? It's about the rest of the work, so the research beyond the vendor, because obviously the vendor is going to try and present themselves as, hey, this is why you need to pick us. But how much of that research did you spend more time on the other part of the research, which is connecting with other agencies, connecting with G2, all of the other parts that came into this decision making?
I think the major point was getting in contact with the CMS, because there are people behind it and they should be as exciting about you as you are about them, which is really important, so that you have a good relationship with them. So this is absolutely the main focus, not the first contact, not only the first contact, but the second as well. So you see how they are pushing you to come to you. This is one thing that can be really helpful to see if the CMS you are choosing is the right one. Okay,
so you get signals from the type of company that you're looking, because obviously I think one of the and this is actually a question that I want to ask to everyone in this watching live from home. How long have you been with your current CMS provider? Because I asked that question because I think it's when you're looking to make a decision this big, like a migration, I think, and I don't know, do you agree with me, Tina? Are you looking to make this decision for a long period of time?
Absolutely. It's such a high getting back. It's such a big decision. We don't want to do any migration in the near or mid-near future. So you want to have a solution for the next years, if not indefinitely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, if you've found your 3 to 5 CMSs, you need to do some testing. Utilize trial subscriptions to evaluate potential platforms. Ensure that the CMS meets your agency needs. Prioritizing, for example, scalability, efficiency, and essential functionalities over unnecessary gimmicks. There can be some great animation. It won't help you along the process. Focus on the overall user experience, not just a single standout feature. Of course, there might be some, and they will help you along the process, but it shouldn't be the basis of your decision. And then, as I said before, engage with the CMS provider support team. A responsive and knowledgeable account manager is a key indicator of a reliable partner. The first contact is key. The second contact is even more key. You will feel their interest in you. And you should explore the capabilities beyond your initial requirements. There may be valuable features you hadn't considered yet. So when you're talking to the account managers, they will tell you about something that you may have missed about the new CMS. And I would suggest that you review the CMS roadmap to ensure the platform is future-proof and aligned with your long-term goals.
Mm-hmm. And just, I don't want to get too technical, because obviously I don't think this is the right crowd, but like when you say testing, like what does, give me an example of just like, how do we test if this thing works for one website, let alone 3,000?
So we tried to build existing websites in the new CMS, for example. Of course, we defined our needs before, where we want to head, but in the end, we have to work with the CMS, with the editor, and therefore we try to build websites in it and had a look at what we might want to automate, how to make the process even easier for the team, how to work with the editor. And it's the easiest to just build a website, see where the problems are, where you want to do something else in the future. This is what helped us the most.
Got it.
Yes. So now we've found our new CMS. So you need to plan the migration. It's really key to have steps for a successful migration. So at first, I did a lot of the testing for the CMS, but then you need to familiarize yourself with the editor. It's an absolute crucial step. You've already tested the CMS. Now it's time to master it with your team involved. Explore the full potential of the CMS to maximize efficiency, such as one-click content import from the old website instead of manual downloads and uploads, which can be something that can be missed, for example. I talked before about redesign opportunities, but not only for the customers who want to have a full redesign, but there are also redesign opportunities from the new CMS to import existing content and maybe generate a new sitemap from the existing website. This might be possible with AI-powered assistance. So some things that would make your redesign also easier in the future with the new CMS. since you'll be working with this CMS longest term, forever, treat it as your new best tool. Invest in understanding its capabilities. You better get to know your new best buddy. Start by rebuilding a few sites to address potential challenges early. So everybody should jump in, rebuild a few sites. It's harder to rebuild than to build something new, because when you build something new, if you don't have a solution for it, you might do it somehow else. And when rebuilding the closest as possible, you see the challenges that you are facing. This was one learning from our end. We did train on the CMS, but we adapted as we progressed. It was more challenging because we rebuilt the sites, then we saw where we might do some changes, use different widgets. And this is one of the learnings I want to give to you, to have everything in place before starting the full migration. If the CMS offers, yes.
We have a top Tina advice right there. So note it down.
Yes. If the CMS offers training sessions, also in person, so video meetings. I mean, it's an international market. It can't be face-to-face always, but also in digital meetings, take advantage of them. It's also important for the team. Engaging the team fosters better adoption and collaboration with the CMS, because they have a personal approach with the CMS. And maybe begin by building new customer websites in the CMS to familiarize yourself and the team with the system while maintaining support for the old platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we have a question from Itai in the comments. So how did you transfer designs over?
For us, we try to build templates first. So to have basic settings in place, like legal requirements and stuff like that. And then we had two screens, one with the old website, one with the new website. Some things were automatically imported in the new sites, and then we did rebuild the sites.
Okay. And also from Norberto, apologies if I'm killing names there. Did you only use native features, or did you also use the HTML editor to do adjustments?
We tried to use only native features and as minimum CSS as possible to have a good results in the SEO. Of course, if there were some calculators or stuff like that before embedded via HTML, we used that as well. But we tried to stick to the editor as close as possible.
Okay.
One other key learning. I haven't clicked before. Find an order of your customers. While full migration is the goal, at least it was for us, prioritize the websites. For this approach, start by migrating newer websites while sales teams continues engaging older customers, if you don't have the time to approach every customer before the migration. Also, one key learning, start with smaller websites with less features to take the first steps in the migration process, because it helps you get to know the editor, get more in contact, and if you have the 40 pages websites at first, it might be nerve-wracking to start with this one.
I love that one, because I didn't even think about that one, but that's probably one that your team really appreciated in terms of the strategy. Start with smaller ones, get used to, because obviously, again, it goes back to getting used to the new editor. You have to adjust that CMS, like as you said at the beginning, no CMS is going to be a Swiss Army knife. So you need to adjust it to the way that you work, the way that your team have been working for many years. So I love that. And also we have another question from the crowd, from Lucas, who mentions, how can AI assist I'm surprised that we are 45 minutes into the webinar, and this is the first time that I'm seeing AI. So I am very surprised at that. But yeah, if you, do you want to take the question?
Oh, this was too fast. AI can mostly assist for redesigns and upsell opportunities. So then you can import the old data from the old website to the new editor, to the new CMS, and then they can give you examples on how to write a better headline for the text, how to maybe create a new sitemap for the customer. This is back then we hadn't have AI included in the CMS, so we didn't use it back then. But for now, I think the major thing with AI is absolutely for redesign and upsell opportunities.
Yeah. And we recently, I think I can contribute something to this, Lucas. So we recently also, we've done a lot of migrations very recently, and we've started to see that a lot of the newer users that are doing these migrations now are leveraging all of the AI tools that obviously the platform has its availability to, as Tina mentioned, transferring content from one from one platform to another, to also maybe make new content, because obviously you have content writer, you have the AI SEO, and again, as mentioned earlier, we do have a product in the roadmap for Q3, which is actually, the name is AI migration. So it's very exciting. I don't want to give too many details because one, I don't know as much as our product team, but that is going to be super exciting. So stay tuned, because I think once we release it, we are definitely going to do a part 2 to this, or do something that is to do with AI and migration, because obviously AI is helping in so many areas. Migration is going to be a huge piece, I believe. Ron Rose has a question as well. Can you show us a few examples how you complete the redesign with AI? I mean, Tina, I don't know if you want to mention anything there.
I think that's not the key of this webinar. As I'm looking at the time, it might be a little bit challenging. And as I said, back then we didn't have AI included. Right now it is included. Felix has a lot of things on the roadmap that he might be happy to present. But on my end, I haven't prepared anything. So I just want to stick to the migration.
No, of course. And Ron, I think just common thing here, we can definitely, again, Tina and I are both happy to have discussions about these broader topics offline. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. I think, Tina, I don't know, do you, now that you are migration experts, do you do migration services?
Yes.
Amazing.
We do.
Well, there we go. Cool. Anyways, let's get back into the presentation, because I know that we only technically have 10 minutes, but it's okay if we go over, because I think questions from the crowds are very useful, so keep them coming.
Absolutely. Yes. One thing, when you have your order of customers, you want to have to plan the resources and timeline. So you should do a detailed audit of the existing websites to determine the scope. Create a structured migration timeline accounting for this given scope, add milestones to it, break it down, and add buffer periods. Definitely do that, because things can go wrong on one end or the other. So just have buffers included, and have a dedicated migration team with defined roles and responsibilities. It helps using your team's qualities and potential, making them experts in their step in the process of migration. Some are good with customers, others are great in rebuilding the sites. So this is key to a successful migration. Depending on your business model, you need to balance existing customer commitments while onboarding new clients without disruptions. Keep that in mind when creating the timeline. And if the workload is substantial, consider outsourcing and adding resources to stay on track with your existing customers. You don't want to lose customers while doing a migration.
Did you lose any?
Of course we didn't.
Nice. Good answer.
Yes. And then steps for a successful migration, part 2. Create yourself a workflow. I said some things that you have to keep in mind, but your agency's workflow might be different than ours. Develop a step-by-step migration plan with key action points for every website. Test the migration process on a small-scale pilot project, like 5 websites, before full rollout to see if there are any things that might go wrong. And then train your team on the migration process to ensure a smooth transition, have them on board. Then leverage automation. Export and organize customer data efficiently, automate content imports, for example, customer data, also called global data, images, to save time and to avoid errors along the way. As I said before, use standardized templates to streamline the migration process, especially if you've used only a few templates before, but also if you have just 1 or 2 pages that you have the same for every website. Use templates because it will help you along the process. And then reassess also API-based solutions. New possibilities along the way may simplify the process compared to when migration was first planned. This is what we did as well, because we talked to our account manager. We said we would want to have a API solution for one thing. And then they implemented it along the way. We were deeply in the migration process back then. But after 2 months, we could make something easier, and it really helped along the process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just a couple of questions as well. So Adrian is asking, how long did it take to plan the migration?
Oh, for the whole migration, from thinking about a new CMS to actually starting it, I would say it's been. Of course, we have a look at the market always to see where the market is heading. But I think around 3 to 4 months.
Okay. I was expecting more, to be honest, but that's for 3,000
when we decided
websites.
On the CMS we were using, I think it's been 2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Do you utilize, so from Itai, from the crowd, do you utilize Google Sheets or Duda collections as databases?
I think Duda collection wasn't available back then, not in the amount it is right now. So no, we didn't.
And you were also, pulling information directly from your directory or your own system rather than.
Yes, we had our workflow tool in place, and we imported as many data as we could on the website. I think the possibilities are way bigger now than they were back then, and it's only been 3 years.
Yeah. One final one before I let you continue, from Alexander. Guten Tag, Alexander. I'll leave my German to that. But hey, Tina, on the subject of domains and automation, what was your solution if customers didn't give you access to the domain using a subdomain?
We contact the customer very, very often. We called them, we wrote emails. So it was a heavy lifting. We made it as easy as possible for them. We did screen share because it was in our interest also to have them in the new CMS. There are some customers we haven't reached yet after 3 years. But we tried our best and contacting them every time. We have sales reps getting to the customer once a year. So we inform them about the migration project and that they should contact the customer as well and give them details. So we supported as much as we could.
Okay.
Yes. We talked about automation. Let's go into rebuilding the websites. You need to establish clear guidelines, define pixel perfect elements, which can be easily done, or where you can be a little more flexible. Not everything has to be pixel perfect. Maybe you should do a map of the old CMS widgets to suitable replacements in the new CMS. It's easier to use the widget as it is and not adding CSS for minor improvements. So you should also identify opportunities for improvement during the rebuild to avoid unnecessary carryovers. What we did, for example, is that we have legal pages which are necessary for the German market. It's imprint and the data policy. We cut it in half and made 2 separated sites for it because it was easier for us to use it. And we saw some things that could be done easier now as we designed and created back then.
And sorry, Tina, whilst we have you on the rebuild websites part, we do have a question from Ellie Ferrari. It has not been a good week for Ferrari, but did you do anything specific involving Google Search Console GA4?
I want to postpone this question because I have one information at the end.
Okay, so Ellie, your question will be answered, but right at the end.
Yes. I want to point out that you should absolutely use CMS integrated tools to ensure quality. Many CMS tools have SEO analysis in place, link checking, performance tracking. So use them. They are there. They're there for you. So you can just use them to have a great rebuild website. And then, at the latest, then you have to inform the customers if you want to, if they have the domain with them. Implement a structured customer engagement workflow, ensuring timely involvement. You don't have to inform them at the beginning of the migration and then contact them 6 months after, but have them ahead and keep them informed. Educate the customers on the new CMS and highlight the key benefits why you are moving. You chose this CMS for a reason, so do it. And if necessary, offer technical support for domain settings. Most customers will need assistance, as I said before earlier. We contacted them many times, offered everything we could, so that the websites are live now in the new CMS. And then, going live, finally, click on this magic publish button. Publish the new website and ensure all elements are functional. And then, going back to you, Ellie, reindex the site in Google Search Console for faster visibility and improved search rankings.
Amazing. Wow, I can only imagine the joy in the team when pressing that publish button and having that migration done. I hope you gave them a bit of a break the week after.
We didn't mention migration for the next 6 months.
Hopefully you won't be mentioning migration for a long time, but obviously, again, the whole point of this webinar was so that when you think about the word migration, you are not scared, because a lot of all the conversations I have, migration is like the biggest headache, the elephant in the room that always gets left to the last bit. And actually, like, we are starting to realize that it's actually a huge opportunity for you to be able to go to market differently, for you to be able to redesign, for you to be able to offer new things, especially with all the tech that's coming out, with all the AI components that are coming. It's just a really good way to innovate, right? The websites that you built 20, 15, 10 years ago, they will not, survive in the new world with everything that's going on. So the main plan, which I think, you've done an amazing job here, Tina, is to highlight that this, I mean, it's a big effort, but it can be strategically thought out. It can be, done in phases, and it can be something that can be tackled relatively well, especially when you have such a big pool of websites. For you, it would have been much harder, but for a lot of you watching, maybe, you know, it's something that's less of an effort. You should see it as a good thing.
Absolutely.
Cool. Is that the final slide, Tina?
That's the final slide, going live, clicking the magic publish button as the final slide.
Amazing. Time does fly when you're having fun, eh? So I don't know if we have, like, obviously I know that we're at the hour, but again, if anyone has any last questions before we head off, feel free to put them in the chat quickly. I think I missed one question actually. It was, do you have data on traffic lost, gained, recovered? Do you have any data? Have you looked back at any data?
We checked a few sites. I don't have data on all 3,000 websites, but of course we had a look at the statistics before, we had a look at the statistics after, and it worked really well. As we have a new CMS that's really well on Core Web Vitals, it worked pretty smoothly, and of course with the upsell and redesign opportunities, customers had a bigger websites, which can lead to a better SEO ranking. So I don't have exact data, but the spot checks that we did were really, really great.
Amazing. Cool. I mean, obviously you can't look at everyone, but if the results were positive, which I think they were, it's a really good thing. Again, if anyone does want to contact Tina, I'm sure that she will open her LinkedIn up for some questions.
I think it was in the chat as well.
Oh, amazing. You will become famous. Before we did this webinar, I was like opening my Instagram and my face was popping up on Instagram or LinkedIn and everywhere. I was like, wow, Tina and I are going to be famous. But you know, wanted to thank everyone in the chat today, like for all of your questions, for making it interactive. Again, migration is not a topic that I wake up and say, oh yeah, today I'm going to watch a migration webinar. So, you know, we were doing it, but we hope we made it relatively entertainment. I definitely learned a lot from what Tina just presented. It's the reason we put Tina up here, because she is an expert when it comes to these things. And the Websmart team are simply amazing. So thank you, Tina. Thank you to the Websmart team. Thanks to Anton behind the scenes. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us. There's going to be so many more webinars coming up. I know that there's one about e-commerce. There's one about accessibility, which is another big topic, especially here in the German region. So, you know, we have a lot of interesting content coming up for you agency owners. And yeah, thank you for joining us. Until next time.